Before anyone understood what was happening, a single word spoken by a child who had never spoken before was about to shatter a powerful woman's carefully built world. And the reason why would stay with you long after the story ends. She had learned to keep her face calm in public. As the CEO of one of the country's fastest growing tech companies, people expected strength, control, perfection. That morning at the playground, dressed in a simple coat instead of a boardroom blazer, she looked like any other mother. But inside, her heart was heavy. Her daughter sat silently on the swing, small hands gripping the chains, eyes watching other children laugh and shout. The doctors had called it a rare neurological condition. The therapist had used careful words, mute, possibly permanent. The CEO had accepted contracts worth millions with less hesitation than she had accepted that diagnosis. Yet here she was, pushing the swing gently, whispering words she never knew if her daughter truly heard. She came to this playground often because it reminded her of a life before schedules, before power, before loneliness, before her marriage collapsed under pressure and ambition. She told herself she was strong enough to carry everything alone. She was wrong. On the other side of the playground, a single dad sat on a bench, tying his son's shoelaces with patient fingers. His clothes were worn but clean, his posture tired but calm. Life had not been kind to him, but it had made him gentle. His wife had died 3 years earlier, leaving him with a 5-year-old boy and questions he could never answer. Money was tight, dreams smaller now, but love filled the cracks. His son ran toward the slide, laughing, and the sound carried across the playground like music. The mute girl turned her head slightly, curiosity flickering in her eyes. The CEO noticed it immediately. She noticed everything about her daughter, every breath, every blink, every almost expression that hinted at something more. Inside, the single dad saw the girl watching his son and smiled politely at the CEO. She nodded back, guarded, the way powerful people learn to be. The children ended up near each other by chance, or maybe by something more than chance. The boy offered the girl his toy car without saying a word, just holding it out with a hopeful grin. The girl looked at the car, then at her mother, silently asking permission. The CEO smiled tightly and nodded. The girl took the car. Her fingers trembled slightly. It was a small thing, but the CEO felt tears sting her eyes. Progress often came in moments so small the world ignored them. What happened next was the moment that would change all of their lives. The single dad crouched down to his son's level and spoke softly. "Say hi," he encouraged. The boy waved and said hello. Then the man turned to the girl, not knowing her story, not knowing her silence was considered unbreakable. He didn't talk louder. He didn't use pity. He simply smiled and said, "You don't have to talk if you don't want to, but if you ever do, I'll listen." The CEO felt something twist painfully in her chest. Years of specialists, expensive programs, and desperate hope. And this stranger spoke with more understanding, in one sentence than most had shown in years. The girl looked at the man, really looked at him, then at his son, then back at her mother. Her lips parted slightly. The CEO froze. Time seemed to stretch, every sound fading away. The swing creaked. A bird flew overhead. And then, barely louder than a breath, a sound came out. Car. One word. Soft, shaky, real. The CEO's knees nearly gave out. She grabbed the swing to steady herself, eyes wide, tears spilling freely. The single dad went completely still, sensing the weight of the moment without fully understanding it. The boy clapped, delighted, unaware that he had just witnessed a miracle. The CEO dropped to her knees in front of her daughter, hands trembling, afraid to scare the moment away. "Sweetheart," she whispered, voice breaking. Did you say something?" The girl looked scared now, as if she had done something wrong. The single dad gently intervened, his voice calm and grounding. "It's okay," he said softly. "Sometimes words come out when they feel safe. Safe." That word echoed in the CEO's mind like thunder. She had built an empire, but had she built safety? For herself? For her child? From that day on, their lives quietly intertwined. They began meeting at the playground regularly. No business cards were exchanged, no titles mentioned. Just a mother, a father, and 2 children learning how to exist together. The girl didn't suddenly become talkative. Some days she said nothing at all, but other days she whispered a word or two, to the boy, to the man, eventually to her mother. Each word felt like a sunrise after a long night. The CEO started coming to the playground without her phone, without assistants waiting nearby. She listened, she watched, she learned. The single dad shared his own struggles in small pieces. The loneliness, the fear of failing his son, the nights when grief sat beside him like an unwanted guest. The CEO shared hers too, though it was harder. She spoke of pressure, of isolation at the top, of how success had not saved her from pain. They realized that despite their different worlds, they were both just parents trying not to break in front of their children. The true test came when the CEO was offered an expansion deal overseas, a move that would require months of travel and long absences. Old instincts told her to accept without question. This was what she had worked for. But when she told her daughter, the girl grew quiet again, retreating into herself. The single dad noticed and gently asked, "What do you think she's afraid of losing?" The CEO didn't answer right away. The truth was too heavy. She was afraid her daughter would lose her voice again because she would lose her mother. That night, the CEO declined the deal. The board was shocked. The media speculated. But for the first time, she didn't care. She chose differently. Weeks later, sitting on the same playground bench, her daughter leaned against her and whispered two words that mattered more than any headline. "Stay, Mama." The CEO closed her eyes and held her child, understanding that success meant nothing if it cost her the moments that healed them both. The single dad eventually found steadier work, thanks in part to the confidence he had rebuilt through these quiet connections. The children grew braver together. The playground remained their sacred place, the place where silence first cracked, where strangers became family, where love spoke before words ever could. And if you listen closely to this story, you'll realize the real miracle wasn't just that a mute child spoke for the first time. It was that four broken hearts learned something powerful together. Sometimes the voice we're searching for doesn't come from therapy rooms or boardrooms, but from simple kindness, patient love, and someone who believes we're worth listening to, long before we ever speak.